So imagine that you have a string holding your head here and holding your chest up here. Normally, I find what I'm doing with my students is just showing them how little work needs to be done to make a healthy sound. When I was first learning to sing and starting to attempt more challenging songs, I struggled with strain in my throat. I would run out of air. And I spent what felt like years trying to get a proper blend between my head voice and my chest voice. I didn't even know it was called a mix. But it ended up feeling like I was yelling half the time. All I wanted was a unified, grounded sound that I heard from other singers that I admired. Legendary singers like Aretha, Whitney, Bonnie Raitt, Mariah. But no matter what I did, I could not figure out how to make that happen. It was very frustrating. Not only was I frustrated, being on stage and singing in front of people was very scary. And it was hard to be fully confident because I didn't have the kind of control I wanted to have over my voice. So I kept having the experience that most of the song sounded pretty good. I had a strong head voice and I had a strong chest voice, but I was doing the most to compensate for the holes in my technique. So any challenging songs were just extra challenging, and it was obvious, at least to me. I was struggling, and who wants to get up on stage and struggle? So the strain, running out of breath, pulling chest, pitchiness, even though I had a naturally pretty voice, these were all signs that something in my vocal foundation was off. If you're new here, I'm Jamila, singer, vocal coach, and music creator. Today I'm sharing what finally clicked for me in my own singing and how I went from strain and frustration to confidence and ease. So back then, I'd even worked with a couple of coaches. And it's no disrespect to them. They gave me lots of great input, and I grew leaps and bounds working with them. They helped me a lot. But I think I was also growing up in a time when talk about mixed voice and vocal science in general wasn't as prevalent as it is now. So a lot of information just wasn't readily available to me. Finally, when I got to college and majored in music with an emphasis in vocal performance, I started working with a coach that made a giant difference in my growth as a singer. He shared with me what I am about to share with you, and it is this. Once you learn to tap into what your body already naturally knows what to do, singing will become much easier. What does your body know? Our bodies already have 3 natural patterns for moving air and energy. Number 1 is yawning. So on your inhale, the jaw swings open, rib cage and shoulders lift slightly, and your throat opens. And let's show the rib cage. Rib cage is all around here. The second one is sighing. So the body movements are similar to yawning. The most significant difference is the accompaniment of sound. And this sound is usually unfocused and passive. So let's try it together. We're going to sigh, and we're going to take our yawn into that sigh. Okay, so that's our sigh. So number 3 is going to be our gasp. And I think this one is key because it's the body's most active breath response. It is a result of our fight or flight response. So let's try a gasp. Try it again. As the gasp occurs, the back and ribs expand significantly. Stomach muscles are drawn upward and inward during inhalation as air is drawn into the wide base of the lungs. The jaw releases and swings open to bring in the most air. I'll show you here, and then we'll take a look at my ribs as well. Here's my gasp, and try it with me. Try one more time. Notice how deep that breath gets. And let's take a look at my ribs. What happens when I gasp. Okay, I'm just gonna make this tight so we can see what is happening. Let's see what happens from the front. See that? Let's look from the side. that up and in. And then let's look from the back here. See my back widen there? Widens from the back. I'll do it one more time. And feel your back as well when you do this. I would even say take 2 hands. Feel that. See how wide that gets there? So play with that for a little bit, but that gasp is where I base everything. So in all of these actions, we are moving breath and energy. The yawn, the sigh, the gasp. What do they all have in common? The jaw opens and releases. The rib cage will expand, especially the back. I do think of it this way. Take your hand, my hands, and okay. And then my stomach and diaphragm will move naturally. That up and in motion we talked about. Now, okay, I've mentioned the diaphragm, so I'm going to say this really quickly. Okay? Because people bring it up all the time for breathing. I'm going to say that diaphragmic breathing and that concept was not a concept that helped me as a singer. So I just don't teach it. If it's something you want to employ and you found that it works for you, by all means, go ahead and do it. I am not here to police how you breathe. I'm just sharing with you what worked for me and what is getting results for my students. I'll also say that the movement of your diaphragm is involuntary. It's going to rise on your inhale, fall on your exhale, God willing. If that stops, you're screwed. But like I said, if I just thought about that and not the muscles in my torso, then I wouldn't be helped at all. I'd still be having the same issue. I am positive about that. In the end, do what works for you. So to tighten all of this up, I felt that basing my breath work on the gasp got me the most results for tone, endurance, and vocal safety. So here's a little bit of a shorthand for you to make this even tighter. So with this thinking, I think about breathing into my back, or even just opening my back and drawing in my air. My stomach muscles and my rib cage will engage gently, especially on my exhale. They'll remain engaged as I phonate or sing or make sound. Okay, so they're going to stay engaged as I phonate. Let's take a look at it. So staying engaged looks like, and I think about holding it open. Okay. Stomach remains engaged and ribs remain open as I phonate or sing. And you are thinking about your torso engaged at a full 360 when you are creating this sound, when you are engaging your sound. So what I mean by 360-degree use of the torso is front of the body and the back of the body. And I don't think the back of the body gets discussed enough. I don't think the back of the body and what it contributes to your sound and your tone gets discussed enough. But for me, and for what I teach, this is where I see more depth and tone and control come in. When we have that full 360-degree engagement of the torso. And it takes the work and tension out of here and the strain out of here. And we put that here in our torso, in our, our back, front muscles, all the muscles. We got a lot of muscle happening here. So let's put it to use. This is what I think is the foundation for a strong voice. So you can take your voice exercises and just try putting it on top of this, on top of a fully engaged torso. Putting your song on top of that, putting your vowel adjustments on top of that, and see what kind of depth you get out of those vowels. See what kind of depth you get out of your tone when you engage your body like that, because I think that's where a lot of your tone can be adjusted and just deepened if you get into your body. So let's try this together, okay? We're going to take the gasp. We're going to add in some sound. Just very simple. And then you just try it again later. Revisit this video and use it as a guide. Okay? So I'm going to take my grounded gasp. Like we said before, stomach muscles up and in, rib cage fully engaged, especially in the back. Then we're going to put some speech on top of that. So let's say it like this. I'm going to take my grounded gasp. I'm going to speak on top of that. Okay? So I'm going to I can speak on pitch. As I'm saying all of this, I am holding my rib cage open and I'm using just enough air. That air is leaking out. I'm hardly using any of it. Now there's different mechanical things that we're going to be doing and all of that. We're manipulating a lot of things, but what you don't need to do is, I can speak on pitch. Okay, I can speak on pitch. That is a very controlled use of my air. And I am really right now thinking about it. I'm at the point in my singing now where I'm not doing a ton of thinking about how much air I am using. So let's put it on a pitch. I can speak on pitch. Try one more time. I can speak on pitch. Now let's hold out the last one as long as you can. We're going to give that gasp and give an I can speak on pitch and hold out the word pitch. Any tone you want to use, copy me, it's fine. And just hold it out as long as you can. Don't push. We're not going, I can speak on pitch. We are, I can speak on pitch. Okay, let's try it together one more time. And notice if you feel any tension, reset in the body. And my gasp is my reset. I can speak on pitch. Move the pitch around a little bit, but see how that feels with your body at this level here. Also, you're not pushing anything here, but you're just noticing how much air is moving through that sound. You want it to be very little, honestly. You want to be doing the least amount of work, if that makes sense, to create that sound. Normally, I find what I'm doing with my students is just showing them how little work needs to be done to make a healthy sound. And I get it because I was doing the absolute most with my throat, and then I would have a hoarse throat after singing. Work this. Work it very simply. Work it with a really simple song, or just work it on one note. Setting up your body with that gasp, slowly letting out that sound. Playing with letting out very little air is what I mean. And if you can resolve it into a vibrato, playing with a straight tone and vibrato, anything that you can do with the tone, moving the tone around, that's great. But getting the feeling of getting that body and that tone and that air very connected. So here's another weird singer concept that I have, and I may be throwing a ton at you, but this is something that I want you to take away, because this is something that also I think works as a concept and worked for me. Think of your torso, this whole 360 degrees here. Think of it as your new throat. This is my throat. I'm using these muscles here. And now my throat is simply a vessel for sound, okay? So all of my work happens at my torso. All my work happens here. All my muscle movement happens at the torso. And any tension that I felt at my shoulders, I'm gonna move here. I am moving it to my back muscles. I am moving it to these rib cage, all these muscles that are out throughout here, my stomach muscles. Any tension here? So I know sometimes when we're singing, we end up like this. If you notice it, it's a gently move that tension here. A gentle hold. It's gentle tension. We don't need to be stiff. We don't need to be rigid. So imagine that you have a string holding your head here and holding your chest up here. Okay, and that's how we kind of want to, just so when we are trying these things, we definitely don't want to be trying it on a chest that is sinking, okay, because that's just not going to be helpful at all for your tone. Torso held up by that invisible string here, head held up by this invisible string here, okay? And it's all gentle. Just think gentle. You don't have to be rigid. You don't have to be, super firm with yourself. It's just an awareness of where your body is held, where your shoulders are at the moment. You don't have to hold, let your shoulders go where they're going to go. They may gently rise on your sound or your inhale. You're going to lower a little bit on your exhale. An inefficient use of your tension would be this, your shoulders at your ears. Just a gentle reminder. I want to hold up like this. And then, when you're on stage doing your singing and acting and all of that, you will have that core in your body, that that knowledge of where your sound really lives. So you can do that kind of stuff here, knowing where to come back to if you need to. If tones, my tone's not where I want it to be. It can be off. It's not going to be perfect all the time, but you're going to be able to get what you want. You know what I mean? And where that lives in your body. So one other weird concept, speaking of, my throat being my torso, is that my mouth starts back here. Mouth starts at back. So if I, hey, I'm thinking from my back. I'm giving that gasp, okay? And I'm singing, if I think, put your sound in your back. I'm doing that gasp. Hey, hey, hey. I have the flexibility I want today, but feel the depths of my own tone coming from my back. So kind of think of it that way. Think of creating your tone that way. Think of your tone even originating, from that place. That for me really locked in my belt and my mix. It just really started to give me the tone I wanted when I started thinking torso. These muscles, sound in my body, just down to the depths of my own body, getting this tone that I want. And then, that's where I started, playing around with that, doing it in my own rehearsals, doing it on stage, and eventually getting the kind of tone that I wanted, and then I can just kind of really play with my tone at that point, because I know where it originates and where it lives. So if you've been struggling with breath support, pitch issues, vocal fatigue, this may just be the reset that your body needs. I hope this gives you a new sense of ease and confidence in your voice. Remember that all of this takes time, and you'll need to take time in your practice to sit with these concepts and practice these ideas, but I promise it's well worth it. Let me know in the comments how this feels for you and what you notice when you try it. And if you want to go deeper with this work by working together, click the link in the description below. Take care of yourselves, take care of your voice. I'll see you again on the next one.